Welcome to The Grind and Glow.
Real talk, real estate, real life.
I'm Kathy Garcia.
And I'm Megan Black. We're two unlikely friends turned business partners bringing you real, unfiltered conversations about the real estate world and the wild ride that comes with it.
From industry highs and lows to behind-the-scene moments you won't believe, we're here to keep it fun, relatable, and refreshingly real.
Expect laughs, lessons, and a little chaos along the way.
Because in real estate and life, things don't always go as planned.
Let's get real. Let's talk real estate. Let's dive in. Our guest today, we are super excited about. She is one of our very best friends, one of the smartest paralegals I know.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
I thought you were going to say smartest person, but when
Yes,
you say paralegal, you're setting the bar a little. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You were one of those very few people, honestly, that when I would see, I knew it was going to be a good time. You bring so much energy, and I know you know this, and if you don't, I'm telling you. So we're so excited for you to join us and talk all things real estate.
Me too.
Even just how we met, because I think that's also fun. On this podcast, we really talk about finding our tribe.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you're part of our tribe.
I mean, we're a sorority.
Yes.
That's a ride or die sorority, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
For
Yes.
sure.
I agree.
But and I feel the same way about you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Every time we'd show up, I was like, it's going to be okay because they're there.
Yes.
You know, like it's going to be okay because they're there.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So,
Yeah.
little backstory, we all met on the same team. Literally where me and Kathy met. And
Yeah.
Sonia was literally on the same little group of ladies, and we really grew together. We went through hard times together. I think, honestly, if we're being completely transparent, I think that was one of the roughest, like, little areas I've seen it from you. Like, it was...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I went from being, I've been a paralegal, I feel like my whole life. I
Yeah.
started probably when I was around 14. That's thanks to my sister, because she was big paralegal on campus, gave me an opportunity. And then at some point I was like, well, how many settlement statements can I actually calculate?
Yeah.
And I was licensed to practice real estate since like 2015 or 2016. I don't remember, but my license starts with a 2.8, so, you know.
Okay.
And I was like, I have to try it. I just have to try it. So I went from apex predator to limping, sickly, elderly gazelle.
Yeah.
And I couldn't handle it. So everybody was very gracious about it, but I had to return to being a paralegal because that's what I love and that's what I have the passion for.
Yeah.
Like I wake up in the morning, seriously, I throw the covers off and I'm ready to go. Like I want to get there. I want people contacting me. I want to problem solve. I want to touch my files like the weirdo that I am.
Well, to be honest with you, one of the first things I noticed about you is how much you were passionate about the paralegal aspect of it.
It's so important.
Yeah, you were teaching
You are a
us.
go-to.
Yeah.
You are a go-to. And I think you played such a big piece in all of us when we became realtors, because anytime there was a question, you know, we get excited because we're under contract and we're like,
Yes.
oh, and now what do we do? Oh, the real stuff happens. So do we need help?
Yeah.
And you would explain everything, and you were so gracious because you would even explain to other people just what the process looked like. I know I've asked you a lot of times, so we were so lucky to have you to explain the back side of it. So tell us, where do you work? Because we got to plug all this too.
Yeah.
Well, just thank you.
Yeah.
That seriously, but you guys also gave me in return. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Megan, I don't know which camera to look into, but I was so afraid to cold call. She put the earphones on me, pressed dial, and booked it from the room. So let me just put it there.
That.
And then you were always there to make everybody calm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, guys, come on. Let's be professional.
Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. Let's do this. But I work at McCollum Law.
Yeah.
He is absolutely one of my favorite people in the world. He is fabulously gay. And one of the nicest people in the world, but he can be bitchy when he wants to, when he needs to be for a client. If he feels like his client's being taken advantage of, there is a side to Jonathan y'all don't want to see. It starts with a hair toss, and then he just wins.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We love that.
And he's been great too, because you guys just don't just focus on real estate. You guys helped me create my LLC. You helped me with my trust, my will. So that's also good to know, because a lot of the real estate attorneys just focus on real estate, but you guys also provide those services too.
Yeah.
And we absolutely do.
As so I specialize, as you know, in creative finance, and having someone like Jonathan who understands creative finance was also really pivotal, because
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because I'm a resale girl. I'm a new construction, resale, refi, paralegal. That's what I do. All of these things that he does, like A and B contracts and seller financing, sometimes he'll talk to me about it and I'll just be like, what? Thankfully, he has a paralegal dedicated to investor files, which is not me, because that's just not my forte. But I love it. And they knew when Megan's name came through, y'all better treat her VIP. Y'all better treat her the way I would when she's sending over a resale. We're not here to F around and find out.
I appreciate it. It's
but he
hilarious.
really does have a wide box of tricks.
Yes.
Which is super, and he'll tell you like, oh no, you need to stack this many properties for this LLC because the value is this. And then, and he's saying stuff and it's like, it's Chinese. I've never had somebody that could read faster than me or anything. And it's very humbling because he'll be like, oh, what do you think about that? And I'll be like, I'm at the first sentence. And he already comprehends it and has made a plan.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, it's awesome though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, so as a dental assistant, I feel like dental assisting and paralegal it's like kind of the same level.
It is.
And you're working underneath the dentist and underneath the attorney.
Like a doctor and a nurse.
Exactly, exactly. And so being able to trust your professional is pivotal in this experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I don't trust you, I can't trust you with my clients. And if my clients can't trust me to provide somebody to trust, like, it's just a whole shit show, to be honest.
It really is.
Yeah,
and I remember there was a time around when I first got licensed that, again, I was like, how many settlement statements can I do? How many can I calculate? How many title binders can I review? Come on, man.
Yeah.
So I went to be an admin for a very popular and classy real estate agent, Lisa Quinn. Most people know this. And she is so gifted and so intelligent. And I remember sitting there like the first week and I'm like, man, Lisa rocks. I don't know how anybody is doing this level of just liability, but with no attorney.
Yeah.
With no attorney. Yeah. That's really the first thing that made me so empathetic as a paralegal towards agents, because, oh my God, I remember sitting there and being like, we can't, or oh my, and she would just come up with something amazing. Good agents are hard to find.
Very much.
And people, law firms, most law firms do not realize the work that it takes to get under contract.
Exactly.
We know contract to close.
Yes.
There are very reputable attorneys in this triangle that know contract to close with their eyes shut, and they're wonderful, and I respect them. But I don't think a lot of people, you can hear about it, but until you realize the work of getting a client,
oh yeah,
consulting the client, 60 showings, negotiations, all that, to actually get under contract is so hard.
It's a lot of work.
It's so hard. So when you send us a contract, the first week that we see it, we're doing a title search. Yeah. Because I'm going to be like, hey, Kathy, the seller has a $150,000 tax lien.
Oh, yeah.
He cannot sell. They cannot sell. Do not order inspections. Do not put any more money down for this buyer. We want to tell you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I understand what it's like to finally get under contract. And then you're just going down a roller coaster hill with no safety. And you're like, please
get
God, I can't. So whatever we can do to hold your hand through that. Because we're the same way. If you guys don't close, we don't make money either.
Yeah,
exactly.
So we want you to go under,
And you guys are a big piece of it. So we've talked about in a couple of the podcasts that you have to have also your vendors, right? So the attorney is a huge piece of that, because from the very beginning, and you guys have been wonderful, you will say, listen, this is going on. There's a tax lien, before we get excited, right? And, we're going to close. No. So you guys are really great. So having a good attorney, right, is important, number one. Obviously having a good realtor, having a lender, all three of us work together. So we're like a triangle.
Yes.
And so I think you also probably know, kind of like us now, we've had experiences with lenders that, kind of made the deal fall apart at the last minute. Or sometimes even attorneys. Sometimes we can't even select our attorney.
Yeah, because you guys do new construction. And
So finding your people is going to be important because you guys have great communication. You will call, email, this is going on, and gives us a heads up. So we know how to pivot and get this done.
Because that's it's so important. I could not afford to lose a deal.
Yeah.
Many realtors cannot afford to lose a deal. So if I've done with me and Jonathan, right, combined, we probably have like 40,000 closings under our belt. Sure. So if we can't get a contract and look at it and start to get a feel for it, that's sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really sad for everybody. And Ian in our office, he cuts all the checks.
Her husband, by the way.
My husband, he cuts all the checks. He's been my post-funding paralegal since 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Fastest.
So tell me, I want to ask about this. So how is it working with Ian?
He is so cute.
Like husband and wife.
He's so cute. He's the funniest guy. He loves you guys. So, I mean, Megan is his best. I remember when I'd call him and I was like a little late and I'm like, hey, I'm late, but I'm with Megan. And he's, take all the time you need.
Oh, gosh.
He's hoping like she'd rub off on me with like all the cold calling and like the things that take, like, testes. It never did.
It's okay, though.
It was like, hey, Megan, tell Ian I was with you.
I got you.
But we definitely learned so much with each other. I don't know how we would have done this.
But important, if other realtors are listening.
Yes.
This is super important because Ian, right, he gets the file right after everybody signs the loan package. So he has to upload the loan package to the lender. The lender seriously looks at every signature, most of them, and they're like, okay, this was signed correctly, this was dated correctly, that's good. Now we can send our money. Sometimes they have to look at the package before they send it. Sometimes they'll send it the morning of. It just depends on your lender. Yeah. We need everybody's money to record. And then not only that, the attorney has to update their title search. Because, right, we title search it when you guys send us a contract. But what happens if, let's say, we get it on January 1st?
Right.
And we're closing on February 1st. And on January 15th, the seller gets a tax lien that attaches to their property. Where do you catch it?
True. Yeah,
you have to update first. So everybody's always on Ian. Are we recorded? Where's my check? Where's my wire? Literally 20 minutes after some people have left the table, leave this man alone. Leave this man alone and let him work his magic. There's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes after you've had that closing celebration and you're going off with your client. He is like on that episode, like Chopped. Like he's got, leave that man alone. There's a lot that goes on.
Maybe we can talk about that. So once, because I think a lot of times when we hand over the file, we're under contract, we hand it over to the attorney. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit what happens behind the scenes.
Yes. So basically what happens is you're going to be giving that contract to Josh. You can send it to anybody in the office, but we all get it to Josh. Josh is also another very fabulous homosexual.
We love them.
I love Josh. Josh is my sibling.
Josh is so funny.
He is so
and so
funny.
Calm.
He says he's like in my opinion he's like one of the best for like one-liners. Like he's very quiet. He doesn't say anything, and then all of a sudden, whatever he says is just hilarious.
He's kind of like David from Schitt's Creek.
Yes,
like he really reminds me of him. So Josh basically is getting the contract. He's getting you scheduled, sending out information sheets. We send you information sheets because until we have an engagement letter, they're not our client.
True.
That's
Very
why
true.
I get this contract. It would be like you guys giving advice to people you don't have a buyer's agency agreement with.
Right.
No.
100%.
We got to be engaged. So he takes care of all that, schedules you, gives me the file for review after I kind of get a look. Because I want to know if Kathy's in it. I want to know if Megan's in it. I have a VIP club. Yeah. Everybody gets great service.
Right. Yeah.
But my VIPs...
A little sparkle,
maybe just a little glitter, like a little a razzle dazzle.
We appreciate it.
And then the attorney takes it to do that 5-day review. We want to look at it within 5 business days of getting it, just to make sure. Because a lot of people, they're writing contracts, the sales coming out of an estate, they don't know how to make their contract. Is it actually legally binding? Wow. Is it void? Is it voidable? There's a difference. Wow. All that. Yeah. That's what we're looking at. We want you to close. And everybody knows we're available on the weekends. But a lot of people are too nice to take advantage of it.
I'll be honest with you. I'm super glad that we have you because
Of course.
the amount of times that I have
You're
texted
stuck with
you,
me?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because one of the things you said to me at the very beginning of our beautiful friendship was, you can never ask a dumb question because whatever you've asked, I've probably asked it in a more stupid way.
Well, I started asking an attorney a question when I was 14, 15 years old.
Right.
I mean, seriously, we all know what a legal description is, right? For people who don't know, it's usually a lot number, a subdivision, and a book of maps, right? So lot 34 of Maple Creek subdivision, recorded in Book of Maps 1990, page 8, whatever. And you have to look for prior title insurance policies. That's something that Josh does when he's opening up your file. He wants to know which title company insured the seller when they got it. Because sometimes if the policy is young enough, we can get the buyer a discount on their title insurance. So that's why sometimes attorneys will reach out to the listing agent and be like, hey, we can't find the title policy. Maybe your seller has their closing disclosure from when they close, because that'll tell us. Most title companies will take it and give people a discount with it. So that's why attorneys will reach out with that. And I seriously, when I first started calling around for prior policies, I was maybe 13. I used the yellow pages to look up the numbers, okay? I used the yellow pages. And I call Fidelity Title, and there was this sweet lady there named Nancy Morgan. She knew everything. And I'm like, hi, I'm Sonia. I'm calling from Zdenek Law Firm.
I'm 13 years old.
I'm working for pizza, and because I'm fat and I really want it. And I'm looking for a prior. And she's like, okay, baby, what's your book of maps? And I literally pause for a second and I go, Miss Nancy, do I need an atlas for this? I mean, and then 20 seconds of silence. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I must be a real special kind of dumb right now. And I just hear, oh, bless your heart. And I'm like, yep, I'm dumb. And then she's like, see on the deed where it's bolded and there's like a lot number and everything. Yeah, that's what I need, sweetheart. Oh, so seriously, what is somebody going to ask me that I haven't befuddled, fell on my face, asked and said, I know this might be a dumb question, but, and you know what, I still do it. And I'm almost 20 years in, and I still do it.
But you know what? Asking a dumb question and getting a good answer is better than staying dumb.
But you know what I tell baby paralegals? The only dumb question is the one you don't ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only dumb question, because there's so much liability in real estate.
Oh, yes.
You have to be so careful. Ask me.
Look, we don't know
Ask
everything.
me. Neither do I.
And everything changes all the time. That's one thing in real estate. It's constantly changing. So we, as agents, we need to stay on top of it. You guys, too, as that side of it, knowing what is going on, what are the new forms. And it's interesting because we talked about this too. I was on a training and there have been form changes. Some people didn't even know. And I thought that's such a disservice to you, your client. So finding just also people that are up to date and find this important, because it's one of the biggest transactions. It can be super
if not
scary.
the biggest, if not the biggest. But that's why, too, I still retain my license. I want to see the CEs that the agents are doing, and I attend them myself.
One of the things that you really helped me with was, learning the CDs.
Well, how many can I make? How many can I do if I can't explain it? It's kind of sad. Because when I tried to be an agent, they are difficult.
And you don't in school. They do not teach you the CDs in school.
Okay, so this is actually a point of frustration for me, because I went out with one of my favorite transaction coordinators. She works mainly at Berkshire, and she was she's so smart, and she's always trying to keep up with new things. So she also attends sometimes. She'll sit in on our pre-licensing. What are they doing now? She has all the experience. And she's like, Sonia, the last two that I sat on, they didn't even spend 5 minutes on the CD.
Nope.
They were just like, oh, the lender and the attorney balance it. Don't even worry about it. And it's agents.
But we're held responsible.
We are, and people don't realize that anymore.
Yeah.
Agents don't realize that, because I send out, and I like to send out a draft ALTA before I get lender fees. And just hey, Megan, hey, Kathy, purchase price good, commission's good, any transaction fees that I may have missed, are we, any amendments that we know about, stuff like that, because what are you going to really do with the lender fees? That's not really. But what we can control, and I've had some agents say, Sonia, why are you sending this to me? You just need to send this to the client. And it's like, I get people are busy, but I just want an okay. Yes. Because you know what? I made a mistake the other day. I made a mistake because I went against my own procedure. Now it's such a new territory with commissions. Sometimes a seller's only offering 2%, but you charge 2.4 or 2.5 or whatever negotiable commission that you negotiated with your client. Right. So sometimes we're doing a tiny little bit on the buyer side, right? Because you deserve to be paid for your value and service. Right. And it's a different landscape and we're all learning it. And I had balance with the lender and I sent the client without thinking, because it's last minute, the CD without that little buyer add-on. And then I had to go ahead and say, oh no, you're actually bringing more because of. Yeah. Right. Like, I want you to look at it. Yeah. I promise you, the paralegals and the attorneys, just like you, my phone is going off at the same time. My office phone is going off. My emails are popping off. My Slack is all at the same time. Thanks. I want to send it to you because I'm also a human and I make mistakes. And my VIP club, my most important thing is I make you guys look good.
And we appreciate
You know
that.
what I mean, though? Like, I never want to mess up in front of your client. And it's stressful enough. I know how stressful it is. Right. Please look at the settlement statement. Yes. And if you don't know how to read one, if you're new because they're not teaching it to you, I will teach you. Yes. If you call me and you're like, Sonia, I'm new, I hope you had a snack. Yep. I hope you've gone to the bathroom because
a Red Bull in one hand.
You better, because I'll talk to you for the next hour and give it to you, and they all make fun of me. Well. All of the baby paralegals and everybody makes fun of me, and then Jonathan usually cackles about it, and then it encourages them because we all want to make the boss laugh. If you don't know it, like anything, Sonia, why should my clients have a survey? Right. What does that do? How do I read this CD? I will help you. It's not stupid. I've asked those questions before. Yes. Please call me. Okay, my phone is usually on silent. I am going to say that because it goes off so much.
Yeah, of course.
But if you text me, just text me like a small blurb. Yep. So I know if I can help you, if Jonathan can help you, and I will call you back. Yes. Just text me a small blurb of what's going on, and I'll be like, okay, this is some paralegal in. I'm going to do this. Oh, no, this is some lawyer in. I need Jonathan or I need Mark. Yeah. And then I'll triage it, you know.
And the nice thing is like, I will say, like, you know, I've had instances where, so everybody knows the Triangle just went over this like revamp of their system, and it kind of like messed a bunch of people up, messed a lot of stuff up. And so, like, for instance, I had a client that was, we just bought their house, and then there was something came up. It didn't show up on the title search.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And so being able to call your attorney and have that taken care of, like, you gotta really have that bond where you're like, hey, I need this fixed. Like, I don't know what happened, but we're getting ready to foreclose, so I'm going to need you to fix this right now. And, like, having that safety net of, like, being able to text you and know, like, I know that if I text you, it's going to get handled.
Yes.
And so I appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are almost going to make me cry.
Oh,
but
do it.
Laughter is a good thing.
We do need it.
We laugh so much, though, but it's mainly at my expense. But now that we brought Greg on, a lot of you know Greg Parlante. He has taken the brunt. Oh, no. The absolute brunt.
You guys have now a satellite office, too.
We do. We have one in Sanford. Actually, and we have one that we just opened up in Lillington, and that's where everybody can go to tease Greg. He's in Lillington. Stop by, make sure he's not on the couch eating potato chips, doing absolutely nothing. No, I'm kidding, Greg, I'm kidding. But Greg, it's interesting, when I first started as a very baby paralegal, his wife was my senior paralegal.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So she helped teach a lot of stuff, and then most of you know Jeff Zdenik's my big brother, technically brother-in-law, but he's my sibling, and he's the attorney that taught me, and he was a one-man show. So when he'd go on vacation or anything, an emergency, Greg would come in and do the closings. Oh, nice. Even before I knew what HOA dues were. Greg was there. I think he only referred to me as Brat for the first 3 years.
That makes sense.
But now he better refer to me as ma'am. No, I'm kidding. Mister.
Yeah. Boss
yes,
lady.
sir.
Boss lady.
I'm so lucky because Jonathan and I trust each other so much that he's let me bring on people that I've known and trusted. Like we have Mark Zwanstra now, and I worked with him at Jeff Zdenik's office. He's a Jeff Zdenik trained attorney, and it's so funny that we haven't communicated about certain things, but Jonathan will realize like our files look the same. We look for the same information. You can tell like these two went to the same boot camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny. And he is so funny. And that man can explain a survey in a way that like, oh my God. And I still learn reading from Mark's emails. So we have a great time together. It's stuffy enough. If y'all want like a stuffy, big box law firm, you don't know what paralegal you're going to get.
Right.
You don't. We should start calling them box of chocolate law firms.
Yeah.
You don't know what paralegal you're going to get. You don't know what attorney you're going to get. You never know who you're going to get. It's like box of chocolates. If y'all want it, go for it. It's great. Like great for you. We want to keep a little bit smaller so we have that relationship. So all of us really, it's corny, it's overused, but we are a little family. We just love each other.
I was gonna say you guys have also been great because I plugged this in too, helping my Spanish clientele, and coming from California, the West Coast, where there's just so much people who are bilingual who can help, and coming to North Carolina, that was something that I was really trying to find for my clients. So obviously going to you guys, I mean, you guys even have the sign in Spanish.
I have so many good agent friends.
It's so important.
Like you, and you do a good amount of business. You do volume.
It's great having you guys, and you guys treat my clients well. And
we have.
So I wanted to plug that too, that
Thank
you guys also have the capacity to help Spanish-speaking clients.
Absolutely. And we just hired somebody.
That's right. And, this is one of the biggest transactions. And so
nice.
I love that you guys see that too, that there is a need, and my clients are taken care of. So I wanted to plug that too.
Thank you. No, but we just hired Jesus. He's a native. He's a native Spanish speaker from Venezuela, and he is the nicest.
He's so sweet.
He's so, he loves you.
The first time I met him, I was like, oh my God, I love him. He is just like this little, like, sweetheart of a guy.
He's such a sunshine thing.
He is. He's like
a good addition.
He is.
I came in on his very first day.
You did. Yeah. And he was like, he texted me and he was like, whenever I see Megan, I'm going to be happy.
Because that's nice.
He was so nervous and you were so nice to him. But he's funny, and he'll get some little ones in too. He's starting now. They're tainting him, and I hate it. So get this. He gets up at 4 a.m. to train in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, wow.
Dedicated.
That is
and we had an agent call, and she's funny. She's the main reason we opened the Lillington office, so she's pretty cool. And she called, and she's like, you know what? I'm looking for a law firm that can teach me jiu-jitsu. Do you know anybody? And it's like his first or second day or whatever, and she's totally razzing him. Yeah. And he's like, ma'am, this is a law firm. I mean, I do jiu-jitsu. What? Like, and then she's like, just go tell Sonia who's on the phone. And I'm like, who? I don't know if she wants to be called out. So I won't.
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I do too. But
like he told me the name, and I was like, oh, she's totally effing with you.
Yeah,
literally. He was like ready to go, had his little outfit on.
He was like, what's going on? Like, do I need to be at the parking lot at 5 o'clock?
I mean, I will teach her if she wants. I mean, if it's going to help us, I guess.
Like, teach me or something. Somebody needs to put an attorney in a chokehold. Like,
literally. But I think, kind of getting back to the whole real estate thing, but I do think it's really important to, like we said at the beginning, like find your tribe and make sure that you're surrounding yourself with. I mean, listen, you have encouraged me to keep on going, and you see me.
Better.
When I send you a contract, it's not like, oh, I just sent a contract. Like, I know I'm going to get a hell yeah. Like, go ahead, girl.
Well, I know how much work it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to see everybody win. There's enough for everybody.
There is enough for everybody.
Like, let's do an abundance mindset. There's enough for everybody. Everybody can win. Let's just all be nice to each other.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
and
like,
help
let's just
each
all,
other.
it's stressful enough, man. Like, let's not, unless you really feel like your client's being taken advantage of, there's no reason to get nasty.
No.
Right,
Don't come in with like pit bull energy because you think you're going to be impressing. No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. And mostly it's probably going to be a detriment to your client.
Yep.
You think you're being cool.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you're
Exactly.
not. You're not, because people then they dig their heels in and they don't want to. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
don't do
and
it.
the thing of it is we're a team. You know,
We
like
are.
the truth of the matter is that your agent, your attorney, the agent on both sides, your buyer's and
Yes.
seller's agent,
The
your
lender.
attorney, your
Huge.
lender. Oh, and by the way, this is just like all of you new agents out there. If you're looking for a good lender, call a good attorney. When I was going through lenders, I mean, me and Kathy have been through some lenders. You know, it's hard and it's difficult because you do like somebody, you'll like their personality, but if they're not constantly getting you to the closing table on time, we got an issue. You know, I appreciate that we're closing, but I need you to get there on time.
Yeah.
People are dependent on you, and so one of the first things I did was I picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Sonia, who do you like? Which lender do you prefer?" Because I might see one or two lenders, you know, come through my table or different lenders, but you see
All of them.
all of them.
And behind the scenes.
Yes.
the
Behind the
piece.
scenes. And
Yep.
I have my favorite ones. Like when I very rarely practice as a realtor, like I hope this is okay, Josh, but Josh is under contract for a townhouse.
That's
Nice.
right.
But I'm not making money off of Josh. I'm giving it, you know, because he's my brother. He literally is my sibling. Or I would have referred him out, you know.
Right.
But like there are certain people that I'm sending my family members to.
Yes.
There are certain people, like when I go to refinance or go to buy or somebody that I'm going to use, and those are the people that I'm going to refer.
Exactly.
You know, like,
No,
and I've
exactly.
been doing it with them for 10, 15, doing it with them.
Sorry, Ian.
Oops.
I'm going to eat the cake. I'm telling you that. But like, by doing it with them, I mean by closing loans with them.
Yeah. This is definitely
Cookies
gonna
are
make
for
it.
closers. That I've been with
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years almost. Like,
Right.
I mean, I used to go when I was 15 and peek in the office at GoPrime and like scare the processors before it was called GoPrime.
Yeah.
So
That's cool though. Yeah.
surprised I haven't been arrested. Like,
Well, and it's also important, like, so we had an attorney that we were using via the team, and just so you guys know, just because you're on a team and they have preferred lenders or have preferred attorneys does not mean that they're good. It just means that they're probably paying to play. They're
Yes.
probably giving the team money, and that's why the team keeps them around, but it does not make them the most
that's true.
most
But it could be
ideal.
50-50.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? Because like it could be either that or just because like I don't want to say big, but the owner or something, they could have a long-standing friendship
Yeah.
with that attorney, you
Right,
know?
right.
So it does depend, but yeah, sometimes you gotta listen to your gut,
Do your homework.
you know? And if you think, if you've used somebody and given them a fair try, or her, or whoever, and they've constantly let you down, then yeah, you've got to
Yes.
listen, because then it's your fiduciary to your client,
100%.
Right.
you know?
Right,
But
and with all due respect, business is business. This isn't personal, but I'm going to pick who I think is best for my client over
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly.
So
But yeah,
So Sonia, if I'm a new agent and I'm new to real estate, I need to figure out who my tribe is, like we talk about. What are the things that they should be asking you as the attorney? Like, what do you think?
who should my lender be?
Mm-hmm.
Who should my home inspector be? To me, those are the two most important things.
Yeah.
And if you're coming from another state, most likely they do not do it the way North Carolina does.
Very true.
So ask me the question, Sonia, A, why do I need you? And B, when I do need you and I send you something, what happens?
right.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's what you need to know. Another advice I would give to a new agent that even veteran agents don't really do. How many times do you sit down and literally just read the contract word for word?
Oh,
Yes.
that's one thing we
I
need to know.
answer so many questions that are boilerplate. If you would have read this contract,
100%.
you would have known. The first thing that I do to anybody who starts at McCollum Law is I print off a blank contract, the standard form that we use. And I'm like, I want you to read this and learn it.
Right.
And then I want you to ask me questions.
Yes.
And then I
great.
see how did you highlight it? What questions are you asking me? That's how I judge how much I'm going to pour into you, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's
love
how
that.
important it is
It's
to
true.
read the contract and be able. I'm not saying like recite 8J by heart,
Right.
you know, but you need to know certain things.
Yeah.
Because that's for your client.
Yes.
You know,
you
so
gotta
you
know
have
what you're
to.
doing.
So read.
Yes.
You know what? Once a year, like how you'd read Pride and Prejudice or A Christmas Carol or something. Print out the contract and humor me and just reread it and get your because just do it.
It's
Yeah.
constantly changing.
It is constantly changing.
Constantly.
But there are clauses that have been there since I can remember starting
Right.
that people aren't getting and people.
You gotta
Like I
know
said,
it.
like there's
You
no
do.
stupid question, right? But you also have that obligation.
I think
to
you also have to
inform
be
yourself.
proactive because there's a lot of people who just rely like, oh, I'm not going to read it or understand it. Just you tell me that. And you guys probably both know this. I don't like that. Like
No.
we have to be proactive in this business if we want to survive and still be here. But a lot of agents, they just kind of like pick up the phone. So what does this mean? We had a lot of changes recently with the NAR, how we are getting paid. What is our professional fee? And I mean, like I said, I go to these meetings sometimes and the questions people are asking, I'm thinking, where have you been
didn't
the
read
last
it.
year?
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody
You're going to go to
gave
real
it
estate
any-
jail.
Yeah.
Any type of just effort.
Yeah.
have
You know,
to
I
learn
get
it.
if you read it and you don't understand it.
Right.
There's a lot of things too. Sometimes I have to go to Jonathan and I, like literally like Forrest Gump, and I'm like, can you explain this in a way where I can understand it? Like I really do.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna laugh at you.
Right.
But at least like
Make
put
that
the
effort.
effort in
Yeah,
to like know the basic contract or read the seller possession or read them and know what it obligates you to and what are the pros and the cons for your client.
Yeah.
Read it.
Well, it's
Yes.
interesting to me because, like, literally, I go through every single time I have a client, I go through the contract with them. You know, like, we're going to.
That's a rarity.
Which is weird. To me, it's interesting that people would sign something like this without fully knowing what they're signing. But a lot of people just.
Well, you know, that happens a
Skim
lot with the
over it.
Spanish clientele
Oh, I bet.
because everything is in English.
Yep.
So I go line by line. And this is why, even yesterday, I had new buyers and everything was English, right? I went line by line explaining the entire thing. Thank goodness now it's only a few pages. But you have to find an agent who is not just going to say, I'm going to send you this via dot loop or whatever, sign it, or let me know if you have questions. Please run the other way because that is an incompetent, I think, agent.
Oh,
you
that's
cannot
insane.
do that to people.
But you have a social worker background.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody realizes,
Yeah.
but like the patience, the empathy that you have for people is not where you're going to find it around every street corner.
No,
you know
I
what
get
I
that.
mean? Like you
Yeah.
really are. That's why I'm so proud of our sorority.
Yeah.
Because all of you ladies have the biggest heart and you genuinely care about your clients. That is one of the reasons why I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to stop being a paralegal and I think I would be better used as an agent because I hope when anybody who's a real estate agent hears this, that this shocks you, okay? The amount of buyers that I would have that would call me and be like, hey, Sonia, I got the home inspection. What do I do with it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, did you review it with your real estate agent? No, they just told me to, you know, if I had any questions.
That's horrible.
I'm like, but two, then I have to be careful because I'm a licensed agent.
Yes.
Right.
I am a
exactly.
licensed agent. And there are many times where somebody asks me a particular question and I'm like, I can't answer this. I know the answer.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bounce it to Jonathan or I'm going to bounce it to Mark so they can give their, because I don't, you know, like I don't want to get in that ethical gray area.
Right.
So it's hard for me to talk to the client. Like one client called me and they were like, hey, we just did 10 grand of seller paid closing costs. Now I think I might be a little short. I'm afraid. And it's not closing for like 2 months, right? I don't have the payoff. I don't have the, I don't have, because you're going to make a mortgage payment every month. Why would Josh order the payoff? And I don't know. And I ask innocently, I'm like, well, what did it say when you did the seller net sheet with your listing agent?
Oh gosh.
And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, okay, well, it's when, you know, like you signed the listing agreement and the agent probably showed you like an Excel spreadsheet or something that shows you like the purchase price and then all of like the debits and like what you're going to net, you know, like a net sheet. And they're like, they never did that with me.
It's horrible.
And it's like, did I just...
And shame on us as the business, right? That we're
Yes.
cutting corners.
Agreed.
That is horrible.
I like to show a net sheet for my safety.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I'm going to show you the net sheet because listen, it's gonna come up.
Explain what the net sheet is, because somebody might be listening like, what is that?
Yeah, so a net sheet, for anybody who doesn't know, is basically it's going to take out certain, like it's going to take off what they think their mortgage payoff is, or what the excise
stamp.
Yep.
Used to be a real stamp, like a postage stamp. That's why it's called that.
So
And this we give to our sellers.
Yes.
This is a document given to sellers by the listing agent, as you should.
At the listing appointment.
Yes.
So before you ever go to market, you should get this sheet, and it's going to tell you roughly an estimate of what you're going to get. Usually it's within, $5,000, give or take, is what I typically see. Usually it's more like,
but it's enough to know if you're going to be upside down or not.
Right.
And it's three. You can give 3 options, and I always give 3 options, right? So below where I think we're going to land, and if we had, a great COVID times where you would get multiple offers, but it gives you 3 scenarios. And you as a seller, you're going to look at that. Again, it's an estimate and say, okay, I feel comfortable moving forward. These numbers look good. Or maybe you pause and you're like, maybe we're just going to wait it out.
Yep. Exactly.
I don't have enough equity. This doesn't make sense.
I've only owned it for 5 months. I didn't realize
we have all these fees to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so like for me though, like it's like once I get the seller to sign that, because I think a lot of agents look at this like they look at it like a business, but it's not really, like they don't understand that it's a business that they're investing in. As a listing agent, I'm an investor, and I'm going to invest my time, energy, and money into your property in order to sell it, and then I will recoup those funds once the property sells. Well, if I don't go in and tell the seller what they're going to net, then I'm going to spend all that money, time, and energy, and we're going to get there, and all of a sudden they're going to, heck no, I don't want to sell it anymore because I can't sell it, or I'm upside down, or whatever it might be. And then I'm out all of my investment as well.
And your time.
Everything.
Your time.
Right.
And I did post this scenario on Facebook, and I do just want to say a very wise agent commented and was like, Sonia, don't immediately assume the agent didn't do it. They get so much information thrown at them, it might have just slipped their mind, or they didn't understand.
But we get it
signed. True. But I'm only getting the version of the client who is under an extreme amount of stress.
Yeah.
There's, besides like a death, to me, or like a medical emergency, moving is so stressful. And I'm guilty of telling somebody something till I'm blue in the face. No, you didn't. You never told me this. So I do want to put that perspective out there as well.
For sure.
But it's just, and I'm just trying to cite specific kind of examples or anecdotes of sometimes how surprised I am that people are so hands off.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, goodness me. Yeah. But is it because they're malicious? I don't think so.
No.
I think they're trying to do everything they know how to do, but it's hard to be a new agent and find your structure and all that kind of stuff. Like, it would be like me telling a colorblind person, hey, look out for the color green.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know what the color green is because you've never experienced it before.
Exactly.
That's a lot of new agents. They haven't experienced things before.
Which
know.
Is honestly why we wanted to start this podcast.
Yes.
We started this podcast because we saw an area where agents who were especially new to the game really didn't have because real estate school teaches you how to stay out of real estate jail, but barely. It's real estate school does not teach you how to be an agent, and then you get out there and you get into the world, and now you're all of a sudden responsible for people's largest purchases of their life most of the time. And if you don't know what you're doing and you don't even know what questions to ask, like when I started in the business, I remember Kathy was showing me something, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know this existed. And she was like, oh, you just have to Google it. And I'm like, I wouldn't know what to Google because I didn't know it existed. And it's the same thing. Like,
you don't know what the color green is.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't know if something exists. So, yeah, our whole goal with this podcast is to really help agents understand the business, help them learn, learn ourselves as well. We want to be better.
I'm still learning.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody's figuring stuff out. If you take polls in the country, like 2 of the most distrusted professions are realtors and lawyers.
Right.
All the realtors I know are great.
Right.
Most of the attorneys I know are great. I know my attorney is like family.
Yeah.
The more we educate each other, the better we look in front of the client, and the more we're able to flip that perception, because the people that work in real estate are some of the hardest working people I know.
I agree.
And they just lead with a servant's heart, and they just want to do the best. And it sucks that a handful, just like in anything else, right?
Exactly.
Like in anything else, they flip that public perception.
Yes.
When most of us, we want to see you build your financial future. We want everything the best for you.
We want your clients to be taken care of.
Exactly. We just want you to feel special during the process. Real estate professionals overcare.
Yes.
And I wish more people would realize that. But you can also be overcaring, but not know what to look for. You know what my sister told me one time? When I first started, because my sister taught me everything I know, not everything she knows. I can promise you that. And she was like, okay, Sonia, you're at the hospital and you're giving birth. And the nurse is like, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. Or would you rather have the nurse that says, hey, I've been through thousands of these. This is normal, honey.
Right.
I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to get through this together. There is a big difference of how your client feels. And you know what? Both nurses were very just well-intentioned, weren't they?
Right.
100%.
You know what? Do you see the difference, though? And she told me that, and I was like, first of all, dang, she's smart. And second of all, dang, she's smart. But that stuck with me. Even when you're kind of panicking, panic behind the scenes.
I agree.
And keep it very calm for the client.
Yes.
If you're angry, if you're sad, if you're scared, wait.
We've seen that. We've seen people get it in their, with that kind of attitude, get in the way of their own deals where they make the client panic and they just tap out.
Yep.
Yeah. And so your energy is everything. Match and mirror. We've learned that with real estate. If your client is cool, calm, and collected, and don't create this chaos and stress, that also, is not there.
Yeah, also be solutions based.
Yes.
So I'm not going to, if I find out I have a problem, and the nice thing about, being in a relationship with you is you will call me if you see something happening, but then I can find a solution so that my client never even knows it's a problem.
Do it behind the scenes.
Yeah. Do it behind
the scenes. Then if you want to take the client out for a coffee or a drink or after and be like, girl, if you only knew. Now, you know what I mean? Like, now I can tell you what do not panic them.
No.
Exactly. Do not panic them. Do not panic. The only person that should really call the client and really, be stern is the attorney or the lender.
Right. Yeah.
The attorney or the lender.
I tell all my clients the same thing. I'm like, if I'm panicking, you should panic.
I told that to Jonathan when I first started.
Yes.
He was like, are you okay? Is everything okay? I was like, Jonathan, when you see me panic.
Yes.
If I'm calm and cool, you're calm and cool.
Yeah.
We're good.
And
he was like, okay.
Yes. No, same though. Like, as long as I'm calm and cool, you're good.
Exactly.
If I'm starting to panic, it's because I don't have a solution.
I heard something when this whole NAR situation was happening, and they said, a lot of times your clients don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So it's good to tell them, when things are starting to happen, maybe not necessarily things are falling apart, but having those solutions, right? So when you're going to talk to somebody, don't just say, oh my gosh, the deal is falling apart. What should we do? No. Like, I tell my kids this too. Like, if you have a complaint, I need 3 solutions from you before you tell me anything.
I love
that. And so I practice that. So before I give you bad news, I'm going to find out, but these are the solutions, because I think our clients need to know that we're just not putting up a sign and I'll see you at the closing table. There are so many things behind the scenes.
It's
and so
insane.
When I heard that, when they were talking about the NAR situation, you have to also let your clients know that we work very hard for this, right? And we are saving deals, even though we put them together sometimes. So I make it a point now that if something is coming up, I will let them know, but I'm not going to scare them. But guess what? I got it under control. These are the solutions. This is what we're going to do. We're on track. But I just wanted you to know.
Yeah,
that's exactly how you should do it.
That's exactly what I do. Like, I'll find a solution. Mm-hmm. Like, I had a situation happen a couple of weeks ago. It was not, it was not my fault. It was out of my control. I was on the listing side, and the buyer's agent was just not. It was just not great. And so, every single time a problem arose, I would literally have, hey, these are the solutions. And I used the technique that we learned at, what was it called?
Phil Jones.
The Phil
exactly
Jones.
That was awesome.
Exactly what to say. And he would say, like, put it in three responses, and that's exactly what I did. I would put it in there, and I'd say, hey, here's the problem, and here are 3 different solutions.
Good news is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good news is we have 3 different solutions. Which option would you like? And I think another thing is to, like, when you're talking to people are smart. They just don't know. Your job is not to make their decision. Your 100%. Job is to inform.
Help them.
And they make the educated, informed decision.
Yep. You educate them, you inform them, and then trust them to make the right decisions for themselves.
Yeah. Because that's something Mackenzie told me. Because I was so panicked. I was like, what if I lose their due diligence? And she's like, Sonia, are they grown? And I'm like, yeah. Are you going to explain what's going on to them? Yeah. Then that's their decision.
That's their decision.
And you got to be okay with that.
And I was like, you're right.
You got to be okay with
you're
what they...
You're right.
Even like, sometimes when we look at home, sometimes I'm going in there. And I have to remember, just because I'm excited about it doesn't mean my client's going to be excited about it, right? Just because they're okay living there doesn't mean that. So you got to put your biases, everything aside. You share, right? And at the end of the day, it's your client's decision. You may not agree with it, but you're there to represent them, support them, and get them to the closing table. And so keeping that in mind, you can't take things personal, because I'm thinking of a specific agent who everything is, they act like it's their transaction. It's not your money. It's not your decision. And you're ruining it for your client. So stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop. I completely agree.
I was too much of a Debbie Downer. I am not a fun agent. I'm looking at everything and then, no, it's awful. And like, I am not a real estate agent. I didn't have the passion for it the way that I have for being a paralegal. That's my whole, I mean, it's almost like, have you guys seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Okay, when Jim Carrey like gets the briefcase and he's running down the terminal to like give it back to her, and like the plane has already taken off and they're like, "Sir, no." And he turns around and he's like, "It's okay. I'm a limo driver." Like, that's literally me. Like, it's okay. I'm a real estate paralegal. And then I just run off the terminal. It's my whole life.
Yeah, no,
I love it more than anything else. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And now I've got 2 competent attorneys, my all-star team players, I swear, that I've ever worked with. And then we've got a few very promising, like, little rookies on the team. I love them so much. They ask me so many questions. They beat me in the morning. If you ever want to get good at something, the only thing that you have to do is put your head down and outwork everybody in the room.
100%.
And that's what the rooks are doing.
Love it.
And they're catching on so much faster than I did.
And I think your energy matches with them. And so imagine if you were that paralegal who was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. Let me go get my coffee. But I think just energy is huge.
Coffee.
Everything is huge. So I'm sure the way that you are so passionate about this is contagious.
Yes.
And again, these are the things that we need to keep in mind, is having your good group of friends who are going to help you just when you're like, maybe I'm not going to do real estate anymore. Because we've all had those conversations like,
for sure,
this is not what I signed up for. This is hard. And we were always there cheering each other on.
Yeah.
Right.
We weren't competitive with each other at all.
It was a like that collaborative group.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're an agent out there and you are struggling to find your tribe, please reach out. You can reach out to me or Kathy or Sonia, and we're always here to help you. And we're really glad that you made it to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
oh my God, I laughed, I cried. What are y'all, Oprah? Is there something under my chair?
Yes.
Do I get a car?
You get a car.
Oh my! I'm gonna start jumping up on the chair like Tom Cruise. Like, I'm in love with my attorney.
I love this. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.